Hello and welcome back to the Jazz Ranch. Gals and guys, hipsters and flipsters, and cool cats and groovy chicks. We welcome you back. We missed you. We've been on vacation, and actually some of the horses went on vacation, went down to the Kentucky Derby to check out some of their heroes. And you know, that's like us going to see Oscar Peterson or Ahmed Jamal or Bill Charlap or one of the greats, you know, like. So they had a blast over there. And then, you know, some of the horses actually went out to dude ranches in Arizona. But I heard that they didn't dig the City Slickers. If you've seen that movie, they couldn't groove with the City Slickers. They were, you know, Squaresville. Anyway, we're all back here. We're happy and glad you joined us. And we have a special quarter lick to lay on you this evening that I got some ideas from Oscar Peterson and Wynton Kelly, and some of the greats use this particular riff, and I'm going to lay it on you tonight. So here we go now with what I would call the altered dominant in diminished patterns. Here we go. Okay, I want to hip you to this really cool sounding lick that I've heard played by Oscar Peterson, Wynton Kelly, Bill Charlap, Ahmed Jamal. Many of the great pianists play this lick, and they've used it both ascending, descending, and it's really a chordal pattern, which I'm going to explain in a few minutes, but I'm just going to show you what it sounds like and how it's played. Here's the first one. There's going to be 3 varieties now. Here we go. Okay, so you could hear that those 3 licks, chordal licks, had a chromatic aspect to them, and they also were rising in a diminished pattern. I'll explain more of that later, but I want to show you how it might be used in a tune. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense and it's of no value. But here's an example. I'm just going to take Misty, and I'm going to put it in there. See, there it is. Now, one more time. See how that works? Now it's really cool sounding, and I'm going to explain it in detail now. Okay, you could hear that those licks or chordal licks were patterns that were chromatic. They had a chromatic relationship to each other, the 3 different ones. And also they were chords that were rising or ascending in a diminished pattern. Now, this relates back to a previous video I did on the diminished scales and also the dominant 7th altered dominant 7th chord scales that relate to the diminished scale. So you might want to go back to that video if you haven't seen it and look at it, and it'll help you understand what I'm doing here. But basically these chords now, they're voicings of sharp 9 chords, but they fall into families. Like this is the G family. Now the reason for that is because all these chords fit some kind of an altered G7 chord, and then they resolve to C. So in this case, I'm going to start now with this voicing, which actually is the D flat sharp 9. So now let's review something. For a diminished chord, we start on a G. If it's the G family, we're going to start G, B flat, D flat, E. Those are going to be the roots. All right, so that we're going to create dominant chords based on that family of notes, of roots. And I want to end up on a G so that I can resolve it to a C. So I want to end up with the last note being a G. So I'm going to start with this particular inversion of that, so that I end up on a G and then I can resolve it to a C, if you're still with me. So that's going to be the position. So the first chord is going to be a B flat sharp 9, and that's what that is right there. So let's look at it. The voicing is the 3rd, the flat 7, the sharp 9, and the 5th. Okay? And that's going to be consistent for each of these chords. So now we're going up a minor 3rd. So we're going to D flat, same thing. 3rd, flat 7, sharp 9, 5th. Next one is up here. Now we're on the E, E7, sharp 9, and then up to the last one, which is going to be the G7. You can see there's the 3rd, the 7th, flat 7, the sharp 9, and the 5th, and that resolves to the C. So that's what's going on in the G family, and the same thing applies to the C family and the F family. Now, I'm going to talk about how this is really fascinating. I'm going to continue now. Now, the fascinating thing about this is that, remember I called these as sharp 9s, resolving to C, and the first one was a B flat. Well, actually, I can call any of these chords a form of an altered G7 chord, so that it will resolve to C. So the first one, let's look at it, what it is. I can put the G on the bass now and play any of these chords with a G on the bass, and then resolve to the C. And I can take any other note in the family and use that as the 5 chord, moving to whatever its related 1 would be. So this is really a 5-1 progression I'm doing, and that's how I'm using it. But I'm using it in 3 families and in a variety of ways that is fascinating. So let's look at it. Now, I called that a B. The first one I called was the B flat sharp 9, right now. But at the same time, if you look at it from the point of the view of a G7 chord, now it has the 5th, the flat 9 in it, a sharp 11, and a flat 7 there. Then up to the next one, putting the G in the bass, now it has the flat 7, the 3rd, the 13th, and the flat 9 there. I go up to the next one. Now I have the flat 9, the flat 7, the sharp 9, right there, and then I go up to here. And then I have the 3rd, the 7th, the flat 9, and the 5th there. So you see, this has an amazing relationship. This lick has an amazing relationship to any 5-1 that you're going to play. And I can use any of the members of the family and use that same progression or that same chord pattern and resolve it to its 1. So I can create any dominant that's in that family and resolve it to its related 1. Now I'm going to give you examples of that and give you some more varieties of playing, how to use this and make it sound good in your playing. I'm going to give you a few examples of this using this lick now in a 2-5-1 progression, both ascending and descending. So the first one is going to be the F family, which means it's going to be a C minor 7 to an F7 altered to a B flat 6-9. And here's the lick. So one more time with that. Put a flat 5 in there that time. Like to mention, you don't have to learn these from the visual. You can take the sheet. I have it. You can download the sheet and practice them from the sheet. But here's the next one, which is now going to be a 2-5-1 into C. So the 5 is going to be a G7 altered, so that's the G family now. And here we go. Here's the lick. One more time, a little slower. Of course, you could do varieties of that, like that. The next one is the C family, so it's going to be G minor 7, C7 altered to an F6-9. Here's the lick. So that's pretty cool. Now, as you get fluid with these, you can begin to just insert them whenever you're playing like that, or, you know. I'll give you one more from the F family now. That'll be a C minor 7 to a F7 altered to a B flat 6-9, like this. Try that again. would say probably the easiest way to really begin to practice this lick is to put it into a ballad, you know, because it's slower and you can think about it more and figure it out. Like the end of Misty, like, you know. Now you're doing the turnaround. Like that. Or maybe like that. You can use part of it or all of it or expand it. It's limitless what you can do with it. Like I always say, what good are these exercises, drills, or concepts unless you can give them a practical application in a song or an improvisation? So here's an example in the song There Is No Greater Love. So on. So there you have it. Now, if you get fluid with this, you can begin to introduce it into your improvisation and into your songs, and you can impress your fellow musicians and your friends, and they'll say, what was that great lick you played? And you can give them all sorts of explanations and abstract concepts, and they'll be very impressed. So there you go. As I said earlier, what makes this so interesting and fascinating and probably cool is the fact that you can use this in so many different ways. And I'm just going to give you a little touch of that when I'll put it in a future video. But like, remember we talked about the F family now. There it is from an F, point of view of an F dominant seventh, and I'm using those descending now. Well, I can use the same exact chords in different inversions of them, or whatever, not inversions, but different placement of them, but I can use it on an A flat chord and resolving to a D flat, like this. See? Or I could use it on a B chord, a B dominant chord. Put the B in the bass so you hear it better. Resolving now to an E chord. See, so now here's an example with the D going to a G. There you go. There it is, 6/9 chord. So this takes some work, and quite a bit of work to get these under your belt, so to speak, in your hands, and so you hear them, so you understand them. So this is a little tidbit on that. I'm giving you a little secret tip here, and see what you can do with it. So you've got the charts. You can download them and start studying this, and then please write to me and let me know if this is anything of interest to you, or if you've heard Oscar play this, or any great pianists, they use these. So let me know if you've heard this or if you know it, and this explains it for you. Please write to me, and I love to hear from you, and I'll always answer all responses. Thank you. Bye-bye. That's it for this evening, and thanks so much for joining me. I'm sorry if this was a little too technical, but I will get back to your requests very soon now that we're back home. And I'm so glad you joined me. Please, if you got anything out of this or you enjoyed it, please let me and the horses know, because they're anxious to hear from you. And we'll always respond to your requests and your comments. So until next time, I will say swing loose, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.